Please like, subscribe, comment. It helps me continue to make these videos for y'all. I love this car shit. I want to continue to talk about it for y'all, but you gotta like and subscribe. First things first. So let's do that right now. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button. Helps me out a ton. Getting into the video. So today we're gonna talk about kind of my ownership experience with the E55 so far. First thing I'm gonna say, it's been great. For the most part, it's been great. I haven't had a whole ton of host of issues like people claim it to have. And this is considered a high mileage car. So I haven't had a whole host of issues like people claim that, you know, you have with these E55 and German cars. The car's pretty much been a tank for me. It's been pretty much, you know, basic stuff outside of, I would say, the one biggest thing, which I'm gonna get into next. As you can see, the car is extremely dirty. But the biggest thing I want to talk about with this car in terms of maintenance is the air suspension. That's the first thing I want to touch on. So what I did, I got traditional struts and shocks for the car. I didn't want to do the air suspension no more. I felt like the air suspension was definitely maintenance heavy stuff, and I didn't want to deal with buying new airbags that cost an arm and a leg and then they bust on me. So I just decided to literally do traditional stuff. You go on eBay, they have the kits, bro. The traditional stuff rides pretty well, bro. Like, people kind of complain about all that, but forget, most cars are traditional struts and shocks, bro. So don't overthink this whole idea like the car gonna ride rough and all that shit. I ended up replacing it. Now, it cost me about $1,200 in total for the kit and get everything I needed to get this installed. The back and the front, $1,200 total. The ride height, as you can see, looks pretty good. Now, I do have bigger tires on the back, which kind of creates a little bit of a raked look in terms of my car. So yeah, the front does kind of sit kind of lower because the car kind of feels like that because of those red tires right there. But at the same token, even before I did this kind of look on my E55 in terms of the wheels and stuff like that, it still sat pretty good. Now, people always complain about the ride. Oh, the ride height. Nah, like the ride height is still pretty solid with the, it's not too high. It don't sit like a truck with the traditional struts and shocks. It sits just fine, still sits as aggressively as it did prior to the struts and shocks. Now, you do not have the options to raise and lower it. That's the only thing that's not as cool. What a lot of people do is they do a coilover setup. Now, that was an option, but coilover also costs a little bit more. But traditional struts and shocks just keep one ride height. It don't change. But the coilovers, you do have the option to raise and lower it manually. Of course, everybody know what coilovers are. I would at least expect you to. So those are your two options. Or you can just, you know, continue to replace the air suspension, deal with all of that. But I didn't want to. You know, I try to keep things maintenance simple for myself, so I don't have to keep going back and doing the same thing over and over. I know how these German cars work. I know how they can get you multiple times. So that's the key. You know, if you want to buy one of these, you deal with that air suspension first. That's one of the biggest issues with this. And once you solve that, these cars are absolutely solid. Now that I got that out of the way, you see the hood is raised. The next thing I want to get into is a couple of different things. So at one point, I had a problem trying to figure out why this car was not starting. It had me running kind of all over the place trying to figure out what's happening, bro. And you know, granted, you know, it wasn't big, but it did confuse me for a second. All right, I want to be clear. It should not stray you away from buying a car. It's one of the most simplest things. Let me show you. Now, yes, my motor does look a little different. I have a mushroom intake. I'm gonna get into that another day. But what it is the crankshaft position sensor, and it's right back there. Now, I don't know if y'all can see it, but it's like right around there. This caused the car didn't start. All right, so when it got tricky for me, I was thinking that, oh my God, like, why the fuck it ain't starting? My alternator is good, my battery's good. Like, I'm not really sure what's happening. So I ended up replacing the fuel pump, thinking, all right, that's what it is, because, you know, the car ain't getting fuel. When I would hit it with the starter fluid, it would kind of try to start up. So I'm like, okay, it's not a spark. It must be fuel, right? So no, it wasn't fuel. It was the fuel pump, because I replaced the fuel pump and it still wasn't working. Now, that's okay, because the fuel pump probably needed to be replaced anyway. So that just became essentially a maintenance item. That fuel pump cost me about $250. Yeah, that fuel pump, I ended up replacing that. And I'm being a crankshaft position sensor after I did some research. Now, that's on me. It's usually very unlike me to not do my research prior to, because it's saying small. But the crankshaft position sensor is easy to do, easy to get to. I think it cost me about $50 to actually buy the crankshaft position sensor itself. So make sure y'all change our crankshaft position sensor, because you don't want that to leave you stranded. Luckily, the car didn't start when I was at the crib, and I was able to make sure that I figured it out while it was still at the crib. So crankshaft position sensor, that's another maintenance item you make sure you want to take care of when you buy one of these. Something else that went bad on me, and I think I should mention it, was a headlight igniter. it left me thinking that it was something electrical, something like that. You know, I was confused, but this headlight would not come on, neither would the turn signals, and it ended up being a headlight igniter. Now, what I did, I just took the liberty. You don't have to. Of course, you essentially just need to replace the igniter. But what I did, I just decided to buy myself new headlights, of course, with brand new igniters. Now, the brand new headlights make the car look much fresher in the front. Part of the reason I did it. And they cost about $300 on eBay. So, like I said, that is optional. You don't have to do that. All you have to do is replace the igniter, essentially. And you should be good if you do that. But that was also another thing that I did have to deal with, because for the longest, I only had one headlight working. And it was actually frustrating me because I replaced the bulb and it was not working. And I was like, all right, I don't know what it is. So now that we went over everything, I'm gonna price it up for you. So, traditional suspension, struts and shocks, cost me about $1,200. The fuel pump that I didn't need to replace, but I replaced due to the crankshaft position sensor through my own confusion, was about $250. The crankshaft position sensor was about $50, right? You had the headlights. I ended up doing the headlights. I think if you need a headlight igniter, I'm not gonna lie, just go ahead and replace your headlights. Like, it makes the front of the car look much cleaner. Like, I promise you it'll be much more worth it to do that. Those headlights were about $300. And fuel pump, traditional struts and shock, crankshaft position sensor, headlights, and oil changes. So I spent out about $200, almost $300 on oil changes, but I'm gonna go with $200. So I'm gonna say in total, it costs about $2,000 to get all this done. Not bad in terms of maintenance, bro. Not bad at all, bro. The car has been a tank. That's one of the major things that I want to get out there. You know, it is an older German car, but I want people to understand these E55s are tanks. And once again, this car is considered high mileage, but it's a tank. Believe in these cars, bro. You do the right maintenance on your M113K motor, bro. It will run all day long. These routinely run to 200,000, 300,000 miles. I've seen it a million times. They're all over YouTube. Some of them got 400,000 miles. Some of them got 300,000 miles, bro. These motors are tanks, bro. So buy into the M113K. These cars are getting expensive, bro. I'm gonna tell you right now. But hey, it is what it is, man. Y'all have a great week. I'm glad I could kind of do like a little 1 year review for y'all. Y'all have a great week. Please like and subscribe. Once again, please like and subscribe. It helps me a ton, bro. It helps me to continue to make these videos for y'all. I'm gonna try to get out 2 videos a week. It's gonna be a pain. It's gonna be tough, but I'm gonna try my best to get out 2 videos a week. Between this car and the vet, bro, it's gonna be complicated, but we're gonna shoot for it. We're gonna continue to try my best. So y'all have a great week. Please like and subscribe. Gone.